Risk analysis. Imagine that we've just bought a hotel in California, somewhere in the Sierra Nevada mountains. We've got no experience managing hotels, but we're pretty confident that we can handle it. Not a big deal, right? There are 3 roads that lead to the hotel. Road 1 connects the hotel and the freeway. Road 2 connects the hotel and the ski resort. Road 3 connects the hotel and the local road. Roads 1, 2, and 3 have the same length, width, and altitude. Open up File Roads to Hotel to have this picture in front of you as we proceed. 10 guests have already arrived and 30 are going to arrive today. It has been snowing like crazy all night and roads 1, 2, and 3 are not usable. There is only one snow cleaning truck at our disposal and it takes half a day to clean one road. The question is, what road shall we start with? At first glance, it doesn't seem like a big puzzle to solve. It's absolutely obvious that Road 3 should not be cleaned first because it's only used by our poker buddies. It's absolutely obvious that Road 2 should not be cleaned first because 10 people who would want to go skiing is less than 30 people who will take Road 1 to reach the hotel. Therefore, it is absolutely obvious that we should start cleaning up Road number 1. Does it sound logical? If yes, note our confidence about how absolutely obvious this stuff is. Here is an idea. Let's put the implementation of our genius plan on hold for a minute and ask James, a manager who has worked at the hotel for 20 years, for his opinion. Situation number 1. Question: James, what road shall we clean first? Answer: boss, it's very simple. Those 10 who have already arrived came here to throw snowballs, drink beer, and sleep. I know this because these folks come here every year, and it's hard to imagine people who care less about skiing, so there is no need to clean up Road 2. I also know that 16 of the 30 arriving today are from a company that will depart this morning from Reno. I talked to one of them yesterday. They're going to take the road, James shows the road on the map, that merges with the local road connected to Road 3, so they'll take Road 3. Now, look at the reservations. 12 of the 14 remaining guests live in San Francisco. I've just heard on the radio that the highway 180 leading from San Francisco to us has terrible traffic. I'm going to assume that those 12 will leave after work, departing San Francisco at 5 p.m. and merge onto Road 1 no earlier than 9 p.m. Therefore, I suggest that we clean Road 3 first, and after that, clean Road 1. By the way, 2 guys are coming from Arizona. I'll call them right away, explain the situation, and decide on the best route for them. Situation number 2. James, what road shall we clean first? Answer: boss, first we should start cleaning Road 2. All of our 10 guests are skiers. Besides, the 30 remaining people will most likely go to the ski resort first and come here only in the evening. I ordered 30 skiing passes starting with today, so they won't want to lose the whole day. Situation number 3. Question: James, what road shall we clean first? Answer: no problem, boss. We'll clean both Road 1 and Road 2. They have the same importance for our guests. I'll call my friend Steve, who has his own snow cleaning truck and lives next to Road 2, and he can help us out. He is a nice person, and he won't charge us much. He'll take care of Road 2, and we'll take care of Road 1. That way, we'll clean up both roads before noon. The moral of the story is, conclusions based on subjective assumptions might lead us into situations where resources are wasted. At the same time, conclusions based on credible information will most likely lead us to effective solutions even if we don't have many resources. Technically speaking, our wise manager James did risk analysis. His risk analysis was accurate because he had the correct information, knew how to use that information. Risk analysis is the evaluation of data or expectations with the purpose of setting priorities. Here is the tester's approach towards risk analysis. 1. Get information about the subject of testing, for example, the feature shopping cart. The tester can get information from specs, statistics, live data about the website usage, communication, etc. 2. If possible, get an opinion from the person who knows the subject better than the tester does. That person can be PM, programmer, business analyst, somebody in accounting and finance, etc. 3. Do risk analysis. For example, evaluate different patterns of usage in the shopping cart and determine the best ways to test it. Here is another example. Let's assume that we have to test the following functionalities. A. Sales between users in America. B. Sales between users in Japan. C. Sales between users in America and Japan. Let's assume that we are selling repair parts for cars and our website connects buyers and sellers. Let's use test tables. First, let's create subgroups of the elements. Table 1. Second, let's combine those elements into scenarios. Table 2. Very nice. We have 4 scenarios. Let's present them in the form of a flowchart. So we have 4 flows. Let's play our favorite game, Absolutely Obvious. 1. The most popular transaction must be Japanese seller to American buyer because the American market has a huge number of Japanese cars. 2. Less popular is the flow American seller to American buyer. Yes, there is a substantial demand for repair parts for American cars, but there are many other venues to get those parts besides our website. 3. Next, we have the flow American seller to Japanese buyer. We put it in third place because it's less popular than items 1 and 2, but more popular than item 4. 4. The least popular transaction is Japanese seller to Japanese buyer. Why? Because it's absolutely obvious that the Japanese have their own internal infrastructure of car part sales and nobody uses our site there. It all seems pretty logical until we start digging. Question: what is the source of our information? For example, how do we know that our website is popular in the first scenario, Japanese seller to American buyer? Answer: we've heard it somewhere, or read it somewhere, or just have a gut feeling that it is the case. Let me ask you this: what if whatever we've heard or read was outdated, used in a certain context, or just plain wrong? And how credible is that source of data called a gut feeling? Answer: another question: what does this really mean? The American market has a huge number of Japanese cars. How huge? What is the number or percentage of Japanese cars on American roads? Answer: our conclusions based on the absolutely obvious have been a house of cards again. Here's the idea. Let's go to the PM, Amy, show her our flowchart, and ask for her opinion. Oops, it appears that Amy doesn't have live data about our website usage, but she tells us that the business analyst, Brian, must have the information we need. We take Amy with us and go see our man, Brian. Hello, Brian. Can you help us? Here is a flowchart with 4 possible types of transactions based on the country of the seller and buyer. Can you give us an idea about the actual popularity of each of those types? Brian pulls up live data for the past 2 years and off we go. 1. Most of the transactions took place between Japanese customers, Japanese seller to Japanese buyer. Amy adds that according to last marketing meeting, the Japanese market was declared to be the highest priority for the further growth of our company. 2. There are slightly less transactions for the American seller to Japanese buyer segment. Amy adds that recently we closed 2 very important contracts with Ford and General Motors that makes us their single venue for internet sales of repair parts for foreign customers. 3. There are much fewer numbers for American seller to American buyer transactions. Amy comments that our competitors dominate here. 4. The least popular are the Japanese seller to American buyer transactions. Amy says that Japanese car companies prefer to distribute repair parts directly to car dealers in America. That's why American buyers shop at car dealerships instead of our website. After that, we ask Brian to give us the concrete percentage for each transaction type among the 4 types based on the number of actual transactions that took place for the past 2 years. If we have that percentage, we can prioritize each type. Now, instead of conclusions based on unreliable assumptions, we have actual data and an expert opinion based on reality and experience. These priorities and risk analysis in general help us to single out our most popular and hence most important scenarios for our testing. If we base our testing on reliable data, we can always have a solid argument why we should give more time and attention to particular flows. Don't be shy about asking for help regarding live data and opinions. It's a normal thing, and you, as a software testing professional, need that information for your work. Lesson recap: 1. Risk analysis is the evaluation of data or expectations with the purpose of setting priorities. 2. Conclusions based on subjective assumptions might lead us into situations where resources are wasted. At the same time, conclusions based on credible information will most likely lead us to effective solutions, even if we don't have many resources. 3. Priorities and risk analysis in general help us to single out our most popular and hence most important scenarios for our testing. 4. Don't be shy about asking for help regarding live data and opinions.